Hello there, I'm not Jack Hargreaves. I kind of wish I was Jack Hargreaves, because if I knew 100th of what that man knew, I'd be a very, very happy and very smart man indeed. But you'll have to make do with me. So, welcome to Colganology. I don't even smoke. Well, hello again. I suppose first off I ought to apologise to all the Jack Hargreaves fans out there for my warm-hearted pastiche. I was a massive fan of Jack Hargreaves. And I should also explain to anyone watching this who's under 40 or indeed from overseas, hello overseas, that Jack Hargreaves was a kind of staple of British TV from the 60s right through to the 1980s. He appeared on a number of different TV shows. There was a children's show called How, where the four presenters on the show would answer questions posed by children, like, you know, why is the sky blue and all those sorts of things. And Jack Hargreaves handled all the countryside matters because that was his area of expertise. And for all the family, particularly the adults, I suppose, at the weekend he would have a show. It went through several iterations. It was called Out of Town, Old Country, Jack's Country. His shows followed a very familiar format, no matter what the title of the show was. It always started off with Jack sitting in a shed, talking about some country matter or pondering over some arcane piece of farmyard machinery or some utensil. And he'd tell little stories, which were always very interesting, very entertaining. And then there were usually a couple of filmed inserts where he'd go off and, you know, see how lobster creels are made, or visit a county fair, or show how a cart is made for your horse to pull, and all those sorts of things. It was just a lovely, gentle, informative TV show. And as I said, it was very much part of our weekend routine to watch that. And if you're familiar with the British comedy show, The Fast Show, you will have seen a lovely spoof of Jack in the character of Bob Fleming. Now, Bob wasn't deliberately intended to be a pastiche of Jack Hargreaves. There was certainly no attempt to make him look like him. But what he was a pastiche of lots of presenters from around that time, the 70s and 80s, where we would have a lot of countryside type TV shows on. You know, there were people who did shows on fishing, there were people who did shows on farming, and there was Jack with his country knowledge. And Bob Fleming's a kind of amalgam of all of those, and very funny too. And, you know, I've had a few people compare me to him, which is hugely complimentary, but it's a compliment I have to decline because, as I said in my little spoof intro to this episode, if I knew 100th of what that man knew, I'd be a very happy man indeed. I know a lot, but not anywhere near as much as he did. And the whole point of him doing his show was that he left that knowledge behind for us. That's why he did it. He wanted people to know about these things before that knowledge died with his generation. And I suppose I'm kind of doing the same with these videos. I'm just imparting what I've learnt in the 63 years I've been on this planet. And hopefully some of it will get passed on. And hopefully a few people will pick up a few things that they thought, oh, I didn't know that. Anyway, now I'll stop rambling and we'll go rambling. There's a few more bluebells out. I mean, not exactly a horde of them. Actually, I don't know what the collective noun is for bluebells, but there's a few more out here and there. Sporadic here and there amongst them, but you can see how much green stuff there is here, how many bluebells there are going to be. It's going to be wonderful here in a month or so, but nice to see a few early starters getting out there. Well done, early bluebells. 10 out of 10 for effort. These are actually invaders. These are actually Spanish bluebells, which have escaped from people's gardens and colonised the wild. They're slightly different to our British native bluebells, although they're starting to hybridise and starting to crossbreed, so it's getting harder to tell them apart. The easiest way to tell is that with Spanish bluebells, the ends of the flowers sort of open up, but they don't curl back on themselves. The British bluebells, they curl back on themselves. Secondly, the Spanish bluebells, the flowers grow from all over different parts of the stem, whereas with English bluebells they only grow on one side of the stem, so you get all the flowers on one side of the stem. it does tend to be the case that the Spanish bluebells come out slightly earlier than the English ones. Yeah, I mean, you can see quite clearly on that one there that the bluebells are coming from all the different sides of the stem there. You see what I mean? When the English ones come out, they will just hang over, they'll sort of droop over the stem with all the flowers on one side. There is a difference in the leaves too, which you might just be able to see because there's two here. This is English bluebells. You can see how narrow the leaves are. And these are Spanish bluebells, which are much broader. I wish they were a little bit closer together so I can compare them. I'll tell you what, I'll break off one leaf of each and you can see the difference. There we are, look. English on the left, Spanish on the right. It's a subtle difference, but it is a difference. I'm now into my 4th month of taking photographs from this spot that I'm stitching. Hello, I'm going to cut in and speak over the top here because it's too windy to actually hear what I'm saying. What I'm actually saying is that, as you know, I've been photographing this field once a day for the last 4 months, and frankly not a lot has happened because of the weather. Basically the fences haven't gone up yet and the sheep aren't on the field yet, but I have been taking my photograph every day apart from a few days down in Cornwall, and I hope that by the end of the year you'll actually see some changes in the field over the course of 12 months. I hope that's the plan. Fed up with the rain and the wind now, but at least I'm not down in Cornwall this week. This is Porthleven Harbour. Yesterday during the storms, and this is just 2 miles from where I was at Helston. Yike.
Look at that.
Well, here we have an entire collection of different types of nettles. We've got red dead nettle, and then we've got some white nettle here, and then over here we've got your actual stinging nettle. So there you go, 3 different types of nettle all within a couple of feet of each other. Hello there you, hope you're enjoying all that pollen. I don't know whether you're a boy or a girl, but then again I don't know whether you're a fly or a bee. Not from here, I can look at the video later, but easy way to tell, flies have 2 wings, bees have 4. Easy way to tell them apart, even though there are quite a lot of bee mimics and fly mimics. But yeah, he's enjoying that. Look at all this sorrel. There's wild sorrel everywhere. I did a video a little while back about sorrel soup. Something else that's nice is making a sorrel and nettle soup. That's really nice, and of course the nettles are coming up now. Make the most of that wild larder. Although of course be careful you know what sorrel looks like, because large sorrel leaves can look like small lords and ladies leaves, and lords and ladies are poisonous, so always make sure you know what you're looking at. Oh, some lovely little violets too. Aren't they gorgeous? And edible. Oh, one last thing to say about Jack Hargreaves. If you're a fan of his and you want to reminisce, or if you want to see exactly what I'm talking about, if you go to YouTube and find a channel run by a guy called Dave Knowles. Dave used to work with Jack Hargreaves back in the day, and I think he now owns the copyright, or he owns all the old episodes, because he's put an awful lot of them online on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description below. Meanwhile, if you're in the UK and you've got access to Talking Pictures TV, they're showing the episodes every Monday evening on that channel, and I'm going through a right nostalgia fest, I can tell you. It's great. He's one of the reasons why I do what I do, why I love wandering around the countryside, why I like finding things, why I like foraging. Well, that's it for this week, my lovers. I hope you've got something useful from this week's videos, and I've got a week of walks ahead of me now to make some more. So in the meantime, have a fantastic week, and toodle pip.